Hey guys, it's Sun for Games. As you can see, I'm still out of the house, but last week I did a run through my favorite notorious monsters in Final Fantasy XI from levels 1 to 10. Check it out if you haven't already, but spoiler alert, Leaping Lizzie is my bitch. But there are bigger fish to fry, and as we get higher in level, the rewards in theory will get even better, if any of those rewards ever actually drop, which most of the time they do not. I used to camp a lot of these guys from way early on in my Final Fantasy XI career, because A, a lot of them are stupid easy to kill, and their drops are like fairly common, and B, they were huge money makers in some of these. I mean, when you first started out Final Fantasy XI, it took you about 5 levels to realize that holy shit, I've got no gil, and I really need a lot. You're looking at all the awesome gear you can get even for like level 10 and some of the dumbest gear ever. You're looking at the scale mail set and you're like, I don't know, that's like 2k for the body, 2k for the legs, 2k for the gloves. That's 6k right there. How much do I have? 438. Okay. Seriously, gil was a huge problem. You saved anything that cost more than like nothing. As soon as you realized that there were notorious monsters out there that could drop 300k, 400k items, and you wanted like just 20k, you were like, holy crap, I could be rich if I could just get it that one time. It's like casinos. You're like, I got it. One more time. So anyways, the first 3 I'm going to talk about, I'm actually going to group into one, because it was really just one camp. You could only have one of the 3 notorious monsters at a time, and you were never sure which one you were going to get, if any. 2 of these are technically just a little bit out of the 11 to 20 range, but they're all here. I gotta talk about them right now. Anyways, remember this dude, the Bomb King. I remember thinking when I first encountered him, like, oh my god, this has got to be the most intense notorious monster like in Final Fantasy XI. There's a chance he's maybe like level 80 or something. He can't be like level 15. I must have stumbled across a truly difficult notorious monster fight. No, he's just named the Bomb King. I really don't know why. He's not even a very intense bomb as far as bombs go. Anyways, this little dude hides out in Outer Hortotu ruins with all those damn cardigans everywhere. And this is one of the first dungeony areas that anyone Durstian ends up in. They kind of just wander into one of the ruins and like, this is interesting. He drops the bomb ring like 30% of the time, and there's a great chance he's up already. So this thing was never very expensive. But he shares a respawn timer with the other 2 notorious monsters in this area, Doppelganger Dio and Doppelganger Gug. I would almost get annoyed when I was camping Bomb King and the Doppelganger guys, and then somebody would show up, and I would look at them like, seriously? What are you... At this camp? Go anywhere else. This Bomb King is worth like 10k. It's a fortune to me, but I don't even know who you are. Get out of here. It was always a lot of fun to camp these 3 if you had a little downtime. When you're sitting there on a notorious monster camp for like 4 hours, it can get kind of awful. You're tense, you're focused, because you're trying to steal it from other people, you're worried somebody else is going to show up, you're trying to make sure you don't miss it. For like hours straight, it's exhausting. And then you finally do kill him, and you're like, nothing. With this camp, you're like, every 10 minutes, you're like, notorious monster kill. Ah, nothing this time, but that's okay. Another 10 minutes, I probably have a good chance to see him again. But if you wanted to play with fire a little bit more, you could head out to Constad Highlands and fight one of my favorites. Sheep is the name of the game in Constad Highlands. You seriously can't move like 5 feet without running into 50 damn sheep. At 99, they're obviously no problem at all. And I'm ready to fight their leader, Stray Mary. Stray Mary is named such because she can be like in a million different places. I mean, that's an exaggeration, but she really can just kind of wander. And the camp literally split between like 2 separate grids, 3 grids apart. The placeholder just switches between both, so you can pay attention and see which one it's probably going to pop at. But it's pretty hard to camp if it's like just you and you've got competition. Add to that the fact that Constad Highlands was a literal highway of traffic going to Selbina, going to Dunes, going to Bastok, coming from the Crag. I mean, people were going through this zone constantly. Point is, this camp was super risky and super annoying and super difficult to actually claim the notorious monster that you're trying to camp. I can't tell you how many times I've been camping this guy and somebody just walked by and was like, oh look, Stray Mary, and I was like, no. Stray Mary's popcorn could be really quick, or it could be like 6 hours. I mean, it's one of those annoying where it's like, oh, sometimes it pops in like half an hour, other times not. And with such a wide area that she can pop in, sometimes you're just sitting there, you've been there for like 3 hours, and you're like, I must have missed her. There's just no way this thing is not popped yet. Somebody grabbed her, I wasn't paying attention, they one-shotted her, and by the time I even got over there, it was already gone off wide scan. If you didn't have wide scan, you were like, oh my god, it could be anywhere. But why did everybody go after her? Because she dropped the amazing Mary's Horn. That sweet, sweet lullaby +1 for bards. Bards loved lullaby, and whether or not this horn was actually worth the effort and the money involved to get it is irrelevant. It was one of the only lullaby plus pieces early on in the game until like level 70. So any bard that wanted to be the very best they could be wanted it, and it was unique. Point is, it was worth a crap load of gil, so it would help you out a lot if you could get that drop. It was like a 12% drop, so you had a pretty decent chance of getting it, but not every time. Quick moneymaker though, so I camped this lamb chop plenty of times over the course of my Final Fantasy XI career. Straight Mary was never worth the amount of time that I put into it. I'm pretty sure if I'd done anything else, it would have been more valuable. Couldn't get her to pop this time. She was kind of being a bitch. And the horn isn't really worth jack shit these days, which is kind of sad, so I left, sorry. Bringing me to one of my favorite kind of NMs. I was already going this way, so I might as well check to see if he's up NMs. Ziggy the Bone Eater. It's not actually the Bone Eater, it's just Ziggy Bone Eater. But regardless, Bone Eater. I killed this guy constantly on my way out to get 5 black mages to kill Operation Desert Swarm, the Kindred Seal, the Notorious Monster mission. Remember we would drop the Venomous Claw and there'd be like one person shouting in Juno like, oh yeah, sell 10% of what you make to the 5 black mages and they'll do it for you. Like lines would form to do this? Ridiculous. He dropped the Braveheart with such an amazing great sword for Dark Knight at level 18 because it gave plus accuracy, which everybody knows Dark Knights sorely need. Although, to be honest, I can't remember it selling for all that much. I think it was a fairly common drop on a Notorious Monster that was up a lot of the time in an area with a lot of traffic because everyone was doing that Kindred Seal thing. He also dropped the Course Gauntlets, which were actually kind of just insulting. They were like 5 defense and minus 5 evasion or something weird like that. I don't remember anybody using them, ever. He was kind of just run-of-the-mill, but I bring him up because I feel like everybody has killed this guy at least once throughout their Final Fantasy XI career. He's always around. And so, for the moment you've all been waiting for, and I really think that some of you have actually been waiting for this because this guy came up more than any other Notorious Monster in my last video. The bane of budding beastmasters and bards everywhere, Humaju the Torrent. Is it really Humaju? Is that how you pronounce that? It's probably like French. It's like Humu. Humu. Seriously, I feel like everybody in the game must have camped this guy at some point, especially if you were thinking of leveling Beast or Bard. You looked up this Monster Signa and you're like, holy crap, this thing's worth like a lot. Then you look up the Notorious Monster and you're like, oh, it's only got a little range of like this much, and it's pretty close to Windhurst. I can get there pretty quick. It was a super easy camp to get to if you were from Windhurst or you were like in Windhurst. It was even easier if you had the outpost warp to West Saruda Baruda. And if you needed that charisma, there was nothing better until level 51. Anybody over level 25 could easily take this guy. It was one of the better drops from the early game Notorious Monsters for Gil alone. This also meant though that he was pretty popular. I mean, every time I would go out there, it was pretty rare for me not to see at least 1, 2, occasionally 3 people already trying to claim this camp. But it happened. Every once in a while I'd go out and be like, am I alone? Nobody's here. So you start killing placeholders over and over and you're like, come on, before anybody shows up, before anybody shows up. I got the Monster Signa a couple times. It's paid for quite a few of my escapades. Like everything else on this list, it's practically worthless now, but it used to be your bread and butter for all your charismatic needs from 17 till, like I said, level 51, at which point the elemental staves are almost always better for whatever you happen to be doing. Plus, it just looked baller. You'd usually spawn within an hour, and sometimes you'd run out, kill 1 round of placeholders, and he'd just pop immediately. That's what happened when I went to do this video. He was just up. I went and killed 1 guy, and he popped the next time. I mean, look, one of the weird friends was up as soon as I zoned in. The drop rate wasn't great. It was around 6%. But it was an easy camp. You could get lucky on claims because the area wasn't that large. It was a great moneymaker. I can't tell you how many times I was sitting waiting to camp this guy, like on the cliff edge, and just kind of bumped my controller and slid off. And I was like, so you're running back through, you got to drop down that little hole, sprint around, back around. I come back, I'm like, oh my god, he's claimed. If you were lucky enough to be truly alone, you could even run between this one and Ju the Whirlwind. He was over to the southeast on the same level. You could run back and forth like super easily. He didn't drop anything super expensive. I think it was the Hunter's Longbow and like those evasion +3 boots for mages. But they both would sell decently and it would help like even out the Monster Signa drop rate. And it made time go by faster. Anyways guys, that's it for this level range on the Notorious Monsters I really care about. 21 to 30 gets really interesting with some big names that I'm sure everybody will remember. Valk remember. But looking ahead at that list, it actually might have to be 2 videos. There's like a lot I really want to talk about. Let me know in the comments which I missed from the 11 to 20 range that I probably should have talked about, and which Notorious Monsters are super excited to see in upcoming videos. Like the video if you ever had a pop stolen because you were sure you had the right placeholder and you weren't really paying attention and then it popped and you're like, wait, wasn't he supposed to take another like 3.5 minutes? And definitely subscribe if you're new. I've got plenty of videos coming each week and I really hope to see you guys back. So, thanks for watching. Funny story, this zone is actually the namesake for my character in Final Fantasy XIV, Chirui Horutoto. I had to have something. I love these drawings.